Yo, wow, does it ever feel good to win? Chelsea beat Crystal Palace 1-0 at Stamford Bridge. Let's get into it.
And blue is the colour. Essien! Drogba! Lampard! That could be the
championship! Greetings! Welcome back to Couch Critic with me, Dennis P. For what is your Chelsea match review, but more specifically, a tactical synopsis of Chelsea's performance against Crystal Palace. But before I get into all that, ladies, gentlemen, friends, foes, do me that favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification button to keep into the latest and the newest. It will help me and the algorithm. It will help me attach to the algorithm and get more people watching this content. And it will help my sponsors as well. They go by the name of Major League Socks. And fellas, if you ever want to walk in the footsteps of greatness, you know what to do. Hit them up, the link will be in the description. First off, fantastic tribute to Gianluca Vialli. What a job the club did honoring this great man, and I thought the supporters were fantastic from minute 1 to minute 90, just cheering his name and really setting the atmosphere for the game. And what a game it was. Two teams that are struggling right now, just struggling to find wins, struggling to find some sense of how they want to play football. And fortunately, it was Chelsea that came out the victors in this one, and in this particular match review, we're going to be looking at a few things. We're going to be looking at a few of the debuts. Badiashile, of course. We're going to be looking at the play of Lewis Hall, who I thought was really good today, and we're also going to be looking at Chelsea's build-up play. We're going to be looking at a more in-depth look at Potterball and what that means. Okay, so Chelsea came out in a 4-3-3 with the midfield of Jorginho, Gallagher, and Mason Mount, and it was proving to be effective. Like, just the numerical advantage in the midfield, I think, helped Chelsea really take control of the match. Jorginho popping it about quite a bit, and just had better control. And what I wanted to talk about first, which is one of the main talking points in this video today, it's not going to be very long because a lot of new things happening with the club right now. I don't want to spend too much time analyzing a game where we won 1-0, but there were some good things to analyze, and one of them was Chelsea's build-up play, this Potterball thing that we've been talking about and haven't been seeing a lot of. I thought we saw aspects of what Potterball can be today with that 4-3-3, having Gallagher and Mountain there coming deep to help build attacks with Jorginho. The cohesion between the midfield three was there for the first time in a long time, where we saw not a disjointed midfield, one person flying up the pitch, not supporting his midfield partners. There's a lot of cohesion. It looked like we really understood the areas in which we could exploit. The left flank was very much used to the advantage of Chelsea. I thought Lewis Hall did a good job of connecting as well. And in this instance here, I want to just talk about this one breakout. Overall, I didn't think that Crystal Palace gave us a lot of resistance, gave us a lot of pressure to, pressure the more skilled ball carriers in the squad, like the Mason Mounts, like the Jorginhos and whatnot. So ultimately, it ended up looking like Chelsea had the lion's share of the possession, which they did, and were able to build together some neat attacks. So unfortunately, we're unable to be finished at the other end of the pitch. But in this instance here, this is what I'm talking about. This is kind of what I mean by Potterball. So what you see here is Badiashile's on the ball. He advances it. He recognizes Mason Mount making that run from midfield to come back and collect. He plays it right into him, ball to feet. It's about a 20-yard pass, very direct into him. Mason Mount then lays it off to Lewis Hall, who's in open space on the left flank. Lewis Hall looks up the pitch. He advances it another 20 yards or so right into the feet of Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz gets on the ball and then plays it right on the flank, right out to the flank to Lewis Hall, who's breaking into pace. And these types of direct passes in and out are exactly what I think is the hallmark of Potterball when it is running efficiently. And I remember when he first came into the squad, when we first had Graham Potter as a manager, that was the type of vertical passing that we're seeing, like up, down, as opposed to left, right. And it seems like we're getting back to that sort of understanding again. Guys coming deeper to come on the ball and allowing people to run off of them. So in this instance, obviously, it was Kai Havertz and Mason Mount coming deep and then releasing Lewis Hall up the flank. And it's very hard to trace this kind of movement, and I don't think that Crystal Palace handled it well at all. But again, to recognize these movements and rehearsing them time and time again, I think Chelsea are going to have a lot more, success breaking presses. And obviously you want a team that's a little bit more aggressive in their advances towards the ball and whatnot. But in general, if Chelsea are really going to be effective at this, they just got to move into positions quickly, lay off the ball quickly, not 2-3 touches and allow the pressure to come onto you. You lay it off real quickly. The movement, the ball moving quickly with pace, and not dwelling on the ball. Like, I thought Ziyech had a fantastic match today. Just really moving the ball quickly into dangerous areas, one-touch passes, just has a vision of what he wants to do in front of him and lays it off. And the more we do that, the more the synergy starts to form and people start understanding that that's the pace we want to play at. We signed today, obviously, Mudryk, who is a blur. He plays the game at a tempo that is much, much faster than where Chelsea are playing right now. But if we can get into the sequences and start playing those one-touch passes, vertical and back, as opposed to left and right all the time, I think we're going to be able to shift the defenses and get runners off the ball, like a Mudryk, for instance, like a Raheem Sterling when he gets back, and like Chilwell. All these guys make those runs like religiously, and when we get them back into the fold and when we get a full complement of players, I think we're going to see a better adaptation of that sort of football where Chelsea are a little bit more direct, but not necessarily direct into the striker and then trying to build from there. It's about using the ball and using the forward and backward passes, like making that sort of like V-shaped pass to get in behind the defense. Let's just hope that we can build on that and make that part of the Potter, sort of like mantra, playing football forward. Now, I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about Badiashile because there wasn't really a lot of hoopla or fanfare surrounding his signing. 6'4" from Monaco, big boy, and he plays really big too. I think he won about like 6 or 7 aerial duels today, and obviously was a nuisance in the box. And the thing that was most surprising for me was his build-up play. I mean, a lot of people would liken him to Zuma just because he's just a big burly body who is physical in the air and whatnot. But I thought that his build-up play and his ability to play out from the back was very markedly better than what we saw from Zuma, and an underrated skill that he possesses as well. I thought that a lot of the time when he got on the ball, he was very much composed. He played a lot of one-touch passes to break the press. He was fluid. He didn't play a foot wrong in terms of like the passing game. He knew where the angles were. He knew where to play it. Got Jorginho on the ball a lot. Used his partner Thiago Silva to great effect. And like between the three of them, between Jorginho, Badiashile, and Thiago Silva, I think they had a really good chemistry and understanding of what they wanted to do to advance the ball. And it wasn't like simple passes where he's just laying it off to Lewis Hall, or simple passes where he's just obviously just making the most natural pass to Thiago Silva. There were line-breaking passes as well that got into the midfield and whatnot, got into Kai Havertz's feet, got into Mason Mount and whatnot. And these are the types of passes that help build attacks, help break lines, help break down the defense. These are the types of passes that you want to see a center back make in a team that wants to be a little bit more direct and also be playing ball possession football. He was very much on the front foot for the most part. And the only thing that I would say about him that I was kind of a little bit unsure of is doesn't look like he's the most pacey center backs. And when paired with someone like Thiago Silva, who also isn't pacey, it could lead to some problems there. We had Jorginho in there as well. And, the three of them making up that midfield three, or that defensive wall in a three, left a lot to be desired when you were thinking about people that can run in behind and whatnot. But fortunately for us today, we kept everything in front of us, and we're very good at like snuffing out attacks, blocking everything, and Badiashile was a big part of that, and I think that he's got something to build on going forward, and hopefully he can do that. I really did just want to touch quickly on Lewis Hall, who has been playing a lot of football recently for Chelsea, and it was noticeable that we're really giving him a run of games right now because Cucurella's obviously healthy, maybe a little bit jaded, played a lot of football as himself and hasn't been really good. But as an 18-year-old coming into a really tough situation where Chelsea haven't won a lot of games the last little while, I thought this Lewis Hall kid really did cover himself in some glory today. He was fantastic. Obviously playing 1v1 against a guy like Olise, who's very tricky, pacey and whatnot. Spun him a couple times, but he never gave up. He kept his composure for most of the game, and going forward, he just like silently understood where the runs were going to happen for him, and read the game quite well. this is 18 years old, like this is not easy football to grasp, and to see him make those types of darting runs, get in behind, link up play with him and Chukwuemeka, which I thought was really good as well. Most of the action for me from Chelsea was coming down that left side, and he was a big part of that, and he can just build on that now. He's got the confidence now from the manager, and he's getting a lot of game time, coming in and coming out of the game and giving us something that we haven't seen on that side in a while. He's really, really strong. He's a guy that doesn't get beat very easily. He loves to stick his foot and make tackles and stuff and whatnot. And then when he gets forward, he's strong and pacey enough to put in the crosses. He understands where the ball needs to be. The only thing that he really needs to work on in that final third is, again, just ball striking. I really think that that's an aspect of his game that needs a lot of work. He really does need to work on striking the ball, because he's been putting himself in some fantastic positions to score goals. Once again today, 1v with the keeper, and just crushes it. Didn't really hit it clean. It was a tough angle, but you would see Alonso score that. You would see Ben Chilwell score those goals, and I want to see Lewis Hall, if he's going to be making a stake for this left side of the pitch, he's got to be more clinical than that. Again, I don't want to focus on too much of the negatives of the kid, because he is only 18 years old, and this, to apply himself at this level at 18 is fantastic. There obviously are some things that he needs to work on, but overall, the composure that this guy's showing, he just looks like he's unflappable when he's on the pitch. The composure, the ability to, be aggressive in attacking scenarios and aggressive in the defense and recognizing when his opportunities are there. You can't coach that kind of stuff. It's very hard to teach that sort of skill set. So, I'm going to take my hat off him right now. I thought he played a fantastic game, and hopefully he can continue on that. Now, there were some other aspects of this game that were really puzzling. I thought the substitutions were quite strange. I thought, the fact that Graham Potter took off Lewis Hall, who was playing quite well, and brought on Koulibaly to play in a back four as a left back, found that to be very, very strange. Obviously, he didn't look very comfortable out there, if you noticed. There were times where he should have been tracking runners out wide, and his natural instinct was taking him back towards the goalpost. And, that sort of space, when, you have players like Olise and Zaha and all these guys that are very, very good at attacking spaces and, making darting runs to get in behind in a flash. You really have to question that decision making there. Of course, it didn't burn us in the end. Chelsea did quite well at just basically pulling up a wall and making it very hard for Crystal Palace to break through. But just a strange decision, I thought, there, especially when you see a healthy Cucurella warming up on the touchline and not coming into the game at all. I really felt like this was a game, if there's any, where you wanted to see somebody that is a little bit more defensive minded and, quick to close on somebody like Olise. This would have been a game for him, but, he opted to go with Lewis Hall, who did well, and then for whatever reason, he decided to bring on Koulibaly to play left back afterwards. So I couldn't really make out why. Maybe it's because he wanted a little bit more height in the team, but to be honest, man, the decision to, take off Lewis Hall and then bring on Koulibaly, and the threat that it carried in the wide areas was glaringly noticeable for me. And I don't know, is this an indictment on Cucurella right now? A game that he, normally would be playing. He's sitting on the sidelines, just warming up on the touchline. This is, I would agree he hasn't been great, but if there's a situation where you want to see him play, it would be something like this, where, he's got to be tight to his man, and he's got to snuff out the danger, especially in the later stages of this game where, Chelsea want to be defensively solid. But at any rate, it didn't burn us in the end. I'm hoping this is not something that we see going forward, because I don't think that Koulibaly is very comfortable playing out on that left flank. And I don't think that he offers anything going down. I mean, he did make that one darting run down the left flank and realized what he was doing, and then just ended up jogging back. But overall, I don't think that he has the mentality of what you want to see in a left back. So seeing him in that position was quite strange, but like I said, it didn't really burn us. So I do think I'm going to wrap it up there. Real short, real sweet. Not really a lot to talk about in the match itself. A bounce back performance from a lot of different players, but most of the talking points in this match happened off the pitch. Let's be real. That fantastic tribute to Gianluca Vialli, very, very fitting and touching. I thought that was set the right tone for the game, and Chelsea came out and just matched it, which was great to see for the first time in a long time. And of course, in the stadium, in the building, was Mudryk, who had his bag packed, ready to go to Arsenal, only to have, you know, Bowley and company come in and just snap it up. Like, man, I wasn't really too keen on this guy. Admittedly, I didn't do a lot of research on him. I was kind of thinking, like, what is this guy? Is this a speed merchant and whatnot? But wow. I started watching a few more of his comps and stuff like that, doing a little bit more of a deeper dive into what this guy's about, and wow, what a talent, what a talent. Whether or not he can put it all together in the Premier League remains to be seen, but we're assembling a team, guys. We are assembling an attacking outfit. Like, this guy's pace, his directness and whatnot, only really matched by somebody like, you know, João Felix in the squad, who's very similar in how they attack, very direct and using their pace and whatnot. So I can't wait for the two of them to link up together. And then even if it is like somebody like a Kai Havertz in the middle or something like that, who, you know, they can play off of and whatnot. You know, he likes to do the layoffs and then turn and run. You know, things like this excite me. You know, these are the type of attackers that excite me when I see players that, you know, have a trick about them, have a pace, have a world-class quality about them. So, you know, I haven't seen that. I'm not saying that that's what we got in this Mudryk guy yet, but there's a lot of warning signs about this guy. World-class pace without question, and he's tricky too. When you see him running at people and he's using his trickery, his technique to beat them at pace, you know you got a real special player, because pace in itself is dangerous, but pace matched with technique, incredible technique, close control, uses his left foot just as well as his right, can strike the ball with left foot, he's ambidextrous that way. Wow, what a player, what a player. So I don't know if he's going to make his debut against Liverpool. He might. I don't see why you would hold him off. We certainly need bodies. If he does, Trent Alexander-Arnold better be on his toes, because this guy, whew, what a blazer. So anyways, leaving on that note, I think Chelsea are moving in the right direction. Hopefully can build on this performance into the weekend against Liverpool and continue to sign players. Obviously, we just learned that Zakaria is going to be gone for a month. We can't be resting on our laurels right now. We need to bring in another midfielder, and you know, that's just a long and short about it. You know, we need to bring in another midfielder. Don't know who it will be, but it has to be somebody of quality, because there's no sense in just putting a stopgap solution in there. Get somebody who's for the long-term future of this club. I don't know what the number is. You know me, I'm looking at Lavia. I think that Caicedo is pretty good. Enzo Fernandez pretty much shut the door there, but you know, there's a lot of names out there. A lot of names out there being linked to Chelsea, and hopefully we can get one over the line before the deadline. But until then, keep the blue flag flying high, and out the Chelsea. Peace.